repurposing drugs.
Okay.
And
which, again, there's a lot of negativity about that, but we're talking about a doctor repurposing the
no,
drug.
these are company. Okay, so when the repurposing, people listening audience, this is also diluting. Please do not go take the principal drugs and stick them in your eye. But a dilute version of these 4 different drugs that most people know the names of, are used in the eyes for certain things. So,
okay.
And so, there's an eye. First, let's understand there's 2 major systems, nervous systems in our body: the sympathetic and the parasympathetic. Right now, I'm chilling out. My food is digesting. The blood's going to my gut. My blood vessels, my peripheral blood vessels are open. Circulation's going on. Now, if somebody points a gun at me, it's fight or flight. So that system, the chill, the relax, is the parasympathetic system. And then we have the sympathetic system, the get up and go, run, get out of the way. Your hands get cold and clammy because we're going to shunt all the blood to our big muscle groups in our brain. Our stomach quits digesting food, and our pupils get bigger. And so throughout the body, you have this yin and yang. Chill out, parasympathetic, and stimulate, get things moving, sympathetic. All right. So we have a glaucoma medicine called Brimonidine, and Brimonidine is a drug that is a sympathomimetic. So it's going to stimulate a sympathomimetic. So it's going to shut down the sympathetic system, which allows the parasympathetic system to work. So when you are scared and your sympathetic system's working, your pupils get big. So it paralyzes these radial muscles, like spokes in your iris. You have you have a sphincter muscle that tightens things up, and you have these radial muscles that dilate things. So it inhibits the dilation muscles, the spokes on the bicycle from working. So that means the sphincter muscle works, and your pupil gets smaller, and that turns into a way to open up the drainage system for the fluid in the eye. And it helps. We use it for glaucoma, and it's stronger as a glaucoma medicine, this Brimonidine. But it can cause red eyes, and because of things that it does. And but there is a twist you have on this, that it causes whitening of the eye. It allows a little bit of dry eye relief, but it also causes the blood vessels to constrict. And that's the drop called Lumify. So Lumify, for people who have a chronic red eye, a lot of people use Visine, which has a lot of negative things inside of it, which can cause problems. And Lumify is a prescription. Well, it can be sold at doctor's offices. It's not prescription. It's over the counter. So it causes a whitening of the eye. So that's Brimonidine. And Brimonidine by itself is for glaucoma. Matter of fact, a classmate of mine in optometry school, he and 3 or 4 other guys figured this out, and they came up with this, and drug company purchased the idea from them. And
no way.
Way.
In college?
An optometry school.
Oh, okay.
So Matt and
for
some other
bucks?
people. Yeah, they get something every time a bottle is sold.
Oh,
man.
But they were thinking. All right, so that's Lumify. And then the next one is, you hear this a lot on the radio these days about this Vuity. And Vuity is pilocarpine, and pilocarpine is a parasympathetic drug, or a cholinergic muscarinic antagonist.
Say that again.
So I don't want to I'm supposed to keep it simple. So what it does is, pilocarpine was isolated from a plant, Pilocarpus something or the other, in South America, late 1800s. And it was the only glaucoma medicine that was available and used in the world for, until another one came along in 1980 or 70 or something like that. I think Timolol was the next one.
Almost 100 years?
Yes. But pilocarpine comes in 1, 2, 3, 4%, and it could be, it causes some problems. It can cause retinal detachments. It causes brow ache. It can cause some redness to the eye.
What is brow ache?
Your brow, your forehead hurts because of a constriction that happens. And so what it does is it causes the sphincter muscle to work because the radial muscles don't work. And as the fun you have on the radio here, the sphincter muscle is from the mystery of the Sphinx, or the curse of the Sphinx. And back in the Moses days, people thought the Sphinx, half lion, came alive and protected the pyramids and the grounds there. And if a stranger came up and wanted to go into that area, he would ask them a riddle. If they got it wrong, the Sphinx would come to life and strangle the person.
I never heard this, but I like it. Yeah.
And so if somebody's trying to remember what a sphinx is, that's the sphincter muscle. So our rectum has a sphinx. When you eat food, it goes into your stomach. There's a sphincter muscle, and your iris has a sphincter muscle.
Okay.
And so Pilocarpine.
I was actually going to ask if there was more than one in the body.
Okay.
So.
Yeah. There's 3, or there's not a ton, but they're there. And so Vuity is the drop that people come in so you can get rid of your reading glasses. So the problem with this is it's not for everybody. And if prescriptions, if you have a little gauge that has 0 in the middle, and if you go to one direction, you have plus numbers, and you go to the other direction, you have minus numbers. Well, the plus is far-sighted people, and the minus is nearsighted people. And Vuity only works for the people who are close to 0. Okay. And what it does is it makes your pupil small. And when your pupil gets small, you get a pinhole camera effect, and it can relieve you from needing reading glasses. However, there are side effects: brow ache, red eyes, and matter of fact, just yesterday, an eye doctor friend of mine shared what happened with one of his eye doctor friends, and they have scans of the eyes called an OCT that showed that it caused a little a macular hole. And after 12 minutes after putting the drop in his eye. So the guy was previously very nearsighted. He put it in his eye. And so there's risk factors with it. So I counsel more people away from it than to it. And we're only finding 30, 40% acceptance of it. But it does help some people some of the time. And that's Vuity. Now, based upon the pilocarpine dilution, and it's a fraction of it's an 1/8 of a percent of when the pilocarpine, the weakest, was 1%. So it doesn't carry the same risk factors, but as seen with my buddy's buddy, it can. Third one, people who have droopy eyelids. If you have a droopy eyelid, then you don't want that. We'll have people who have one eyelid that's droopier than the other, or it's called ptosis, P-T-O-S-I-S. And, so ptosis, you go, why don't you say P? It's for the same reason. You have to ask the question, how come you can't hear it when a pterodactyl goes to the bathroom? Because the P is silent.
I told my kids that the other day, and they stared at me, and I was like, because pterodactyl starts with a P, and they were like, oh.
So all right. So the one is Afrin. Afrin is the nasal spray. Many people have it in their closet. Don't put Afrin in your eye. Very strong concentration, but a dilute amount of it instilled in the eye will make it contracts a muscle called the Mueller's muscle, and it elevates the eyelid. So we have more women who want it than men for vanity reasons, but also if your upper lid is too low, it'll impair your vision. Leah's sister Cindy was in just this week, and she's going to go, she's in line, and she said, I can talk about this. She's in line to go have her eyelid surgery because her eyelids are heavy, and there's the eyelid is causing, getting in the way of her pupil. And then what people end up doing is they use their big forehead muscle to raise their eyelids, and it gets tiring, and there's qualifications you have to have.
Your sister have a big forehead muscle?
No, everybody does. Stop that. And so the Oxymetazoline and the Afrin is repurposed or diluted, and we have upneek as a response. So it helps with Bell's palsy, people who have the paralyzed face and their eyelids lower. This stuff called dermatochalasis, which is a droopy eyelid for a heavy eyelid for reasons I won't go into. And then your tear prism can get in the way, and that can cause impaired vision. The third one, Chantix. What's Chantix used for? For people who want to quit smoking.
That's right.
Okay, so Chantix is Varencline. And Varencline, when you repurpose it, you get a nasal spray that is called Trrvaya. And Trrvaya, you squirt up your nose, and it's a neuro-stimulator. So it's going to stimulate the nerves in your nose that are correlated to your trigeminal nerve. We have 12 cranial nerves. The fifth one is a trigeminal nerve, and it radiates all over your face. And when stimulated, it causes you to reflexively tear. So your lacrimal gland, your meibomian glands, these different glands in your eyelid will start secreting tears, and it'll solve a dry eye. Now, we also we've talked about in the past about these neuro lenses, these glasses that go and straighten your eye muscles out, which is another way to do that. And we solve lots of problems from vertigo to neck ache to brow ache to behind the eye or retroorbital pain with these glasses. This Chantix diluted into this drop called Trrvaya helps with dry eye. We have it, and it's for people who and that is their source of their dry eye. There are many different forms of dry eye, but isn't it interesting? 4 different medicines, 4 different dilutions, different people coming up with oh wow, if it works for this, we can do that with it, and we work with all these things in the office.
But again, just a reminder: some of these names may be familiar to you, as Doc pointed out. Do not use them on their normal name unless you talk to a doctor, because these are diluted.
Yeah, none of them should be used under the normal name. Right. Yeah. But isn't it interesting that we the eye care world, and here I am just whipping out these 4 different drugs that we have that have come out, and let me see, Lumify, the past handful of years collectively, and they're tools that we can use for people.
It totally off base, off course, but I'm always amazed at the names they come up with for medicines.
Oh yeah,
it just kills me.
All right, and patients will come in and they'll have cancer of the 1, 2, 3 or something, and they say they have what? Okay, how do you spell that? And then you gotta look it up, because you cannot. That's why we have Google and Medline search and all these ways to go look into these things. And then some of them I serve as a place for the rheumatologist who puts the rheumatoid arthritis patient or lupus patient on like Plaquenil or methotrexate, because they can affect your eyes. And so our job is to rule out toxicities in the eye. And sometimes there's some new ones that come along. And you got to keep up with it. Some will call swelling in the macula. Well, heck, this Vuity eye drop in the eye doctor, it caused his eye to have an almost immediate problem in the back of the eye. So everything, with caution.
And just to remind everybody, I always got to throw out the disclaimer so he doesn't scare anybody away. But Dr. Wilcox is an eye doctor with an office down at the Point. He does do eye exams. He does talk to you about glasses and contacts, and also offers suggestions about other treatments that may be available to you for you to make